Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to cover the concept of functions in C++. So what are functions? Why mainly we use functions? Function is a concept like where we are dividing the large program into smaller programs. Okay, so whenever you are working on some applications, okay, when we have a large project, so it's not very easy to write all the programs in within a main function. Okay, so because we have several tasks to be done. Okay, maybe we have when you're writing a code for an calculator, okay, we have add, subtract, division, or when you are writing an application for mechanical engineering where we have motor or some several part or the tasks are involved. So it is very difficult to write the code for all the tasks within the main function. Okay, and it's very confusion to understand. Okay, what task is written for which function and which task. Okay, so that's why we are introducing the concept of functions. Okay, what are functions? Functions are a group of statements to perform a task. Okay, so maybe you are writing a function for addition. Okay, in a calculator application, add function is useful for adding two numbers. Okay, so add is what? It's a function or a task to perform or to calculate to perform addition of two numbers. Similarly, for subtraction, so it is useful for subtracting two numbers. So that is one another task. Okay, so here we are writing some separate function for addition, even for subtraction, even for division. Okay, so this is nothing but, so this add function. Okay, so this includes some set of statements to perform or to add two numbers. Similarly, subtract function, it includes some group of statements to subtract two numbers. Okay, so that is what the function definition says, like it's a group of statements to perform a particular task. Okay, so you are working on some big project, okay, where it has involved many number of tasks or many number of modules. Okay, so all those modules, if you write within a main function, so you like even for other developer or for other team members, it is very confusion, like what code I should write for this module and how these modules are divided. So within the main function it is difficult to search, right? So that's why we can divide this large program into small modules or the small tasks or the small functions, so that it can be easily written, right? So that's why the function says if we can divide a large program into smaller programs, as well as it says group of statement to perform a particular task. And every C program has main function. Okay, so whenever you are writing a C program or C++ program, each and every program must have main function. Okay, every execution of C or C++, every program or C++ execution begins with the main function. So in the main function, we are writing the code, and then when we have many number of tasks or functions to be executed, we are writing the many number of calling functions in the main function. Okay, for example, calculator application. So this is one application we are developing, and for that we have some tasks called add, sub, and division. Okay, so these are nothing but three tasks to be done. Or so for that we are in the main function, we are accepting two numbers. Okay, maybe we are reading a variable and b variable, then we are calling add function, subtract function, and then division function. So we have calling function as well as called function. So in the called function, we are writing the group of statements to perform a particular task. Okay, so this is what the concept of function. And then next, in a function, we are input x, then function x, output f of x. So input x is what? We are first reading the value, what has to be processed. Okay, so that's why they are given input x. Okay, so first we are taking the value from the user. After that, we are sending those values, or once you read the values, then you can send those values to the function. Okay, whatever the task you are carrying out, for that function you are passing the value. So once the function performs a task, okay, and then output is ready to display. So after that, it will send that, then it will display the output. Okay, so we are reading the value, then we are sending that value for the processing. That value has been sent to the function, and then function will process, like it has written some group of statement, and it will perform its task, and then it will display the output. Okay, maybe in the main function you have read the two variables, two values, and then you are in the add function you are performing the operation of addition of two numbers, then you are displaying the output. Okay, whatever the final output, that will be displayed here. And then what are the different advantages of using functions? Okay, so we have avoid repetition of code. Okay, so when you use the concept of function, mainly you are avoiding the repetition of code. So instead of using the same code again and again, so you can directly call that function. Okay, maybe you have written for a add function, you have written the set of statements. Okay, so even some developer, he wants to use the same code. So instead of he's writing the same code again and again, he can directly call that add function. So instead of writing the same code again and again, so that's what it avoids the repetition of code. Then increase program readability. Okay, so it increases the program readability because so when you write a program, okay, large program without any function, like it is very difficult to analyze, difficult to read. Okay, even for like suppose I have written the program and I have given that program to another person or another developer to go through this program or to analyze this program. So then in that case, it is very difficult to analyze because it is very difficult to analyze or to understand because the last program within the main function maybe we have 10,000 lines of code, so it is difficult to analyze. But when we have functions, so it is divided according to the task or according to the functions. Then like even if we give like the same code to another developer, like when we divide the code into the number of function, and if I give to someone to analyze or to understand, then definitely in that case, like you can easily understand the program when it is according to the functions, when you are using the concept of functions. Then reduce the chance of error. Okay, yeah, exactly, because when you are using the concept of functions, we can directly, like in the main function we have many number of functions we are calling, and like once I call the add function, it will go to that particular function and it will execute the set of statements. Then again again in the main function I have called subtract function, and it will again execute those set of statements. If there are any errors, directly it will indicate. So in the subtract function there are some errors. Okay, then directly I can go to that function and I can edit the program, or I can debug the program. So this is how, like using the concept of function, we can reduce the chances of error. And then unit testing is possible. Okay, because unit testing is nothing but we have in a program we have many number of units, and each and every unit has to be tested. Okay, so each and every unit has to be tested, and that is possible by using the concept of functions. So unit testing can be easily done by using the concept of functions. And then easy to modify the program. So when you use the concept of functions, you can easily modify the program because we have many number of functions, and once we got any error in the function, then directly we can modify the particular code in that function, and then we can again run that program. Okay, so this is what the concept of function. This is a basic introduction about the functions, how we can use in C++, and then these are the advantages of functions. Okay, next we have type of functions. Okay, there are two types of functions, predefined functions, and this is also called as built-in function. So what are predefined function, and then next we have user-defined functions. So what is the difference between two types of functions? So user-defined function as well as the predefined function. So what is predefined or built-in function? Okay. Next you have type of functions. Okay, there are two types of functions: predefined function or built-in function, and then next we have user-defined function. So what is a predefined function? The function which is not as per the user requirement. So these are the functions already built in. Okay, so here the user is not involved to write a code. Okay, so that is what we call it as a predefined function or built-in function. So here this built-in function or the user-defined functions are defined with the .lib or .obj files. Okay, so all the built-in function code are stored in .lib file or .obj files. For example, printf, scanf, clrsr function. So these are the functions are built-in functions. Okay, these built-in for these functions we are not writing any code. Okay, or the user is not writing any code because these functions are available. Okay, printf, scanf, clrsr function, okay, or square root function or power function. Okay, already these functions are built in. Okay, for example, when you want to perform square root of a number or power of a function, okay, whenever you are dealing with this type of functions, you are not writing any code for that. Okay, because already this code is available and this is accessible and this is stored in .obj or .lib files. Next, coming to user defined function. So what are user defined function? So whenever the predefined function, we have predefined function and it is not as per the user requirement. Suppose I want to perform some addition of two numbers, I want to write a function with the sum, or suppose I want to write a function with the motor, or whenever I want to write a function with the engine. Okay, so in that case these functions are not available and this is called as an user defined function. So for that this is not according to the, whenever you are going for the user defined function, this is according to the program requirement or the client requirement. So what is the client requirement? Client comes like whenever the client gives a project and he explains the number of modules or the number of tasks. Okay, maybe in a main function we have around 10 modules or 20 modules. Okay, so for all those 20 modules the built-in functions are not available. Okay, so for that we need to go through user defined functions, or the according to the client requirement we have to write our own user defined functions. So for example, suppose you want to write a function for motor, that is possible by user defined function. So whenever you want to write a function for subtraction, that is possible by user defined function. So because because the code is not available. Okay, so that's why we need to write our own function with our own name. Okay, we can give any function name. And these are the limitation of built-in function. So what are the limitation of built-in function? No control over the function. So what is no control over the function? Because whenever you are dealing with the built-in function or predefined function, so you do not have any control over the function because you are not writing, or there is no possibility of editing the code because already it has been predefined and you don't have any control over the code. You can't change any parameter in that or any value in that. Okay, and even the second limitation is you can't change anything, right? So suppose you are performing a square root of a number, okay, or whenever you are printing the data onto the monitor, okay, for that printf is defined, okay, and for that printf already code has been written, but you can't change anything, the code which has been already written for the printf function, right? So that is what we say, you can't change anything, right? And then if user requirement doesn't support the inbuilt function, then we go for user defined function. Okay, if the user required doesn't match for the programmer, or the client has given the whatever the requirement, and if it is not matching with the built-in function, then we go for user defined function. So what is user defined function? It is according to the user requirement. So as per my requirement, or as per the program requirement, he is writing his own code. Okay, so that is called as an user defined function. And then addition of two numbers. Okay, so here to perform the addition of two numbers, there is no predefined function available. Okay, or there is no built-in function available. So for performing addition of two numbers, we are creating a function with the sum. Okay, so sum is what? Our user defined function. We are giving the function name, and then we are writing the set of statement for the function sum. Okay, so this is what the difference between predefined function and then user defined function. Okay, next. Okay, next we have components of function. Okay, what are the different components of function we have? Function prototype, function definition, and function call. So what is the necessity of defining the function prototype? So whenever you are writing a program, okay, it can be C or C++ program, and you are using some addition function or engine function, motor function. So before that, we are declaring a function prototype. So in function, how we can declare a function prototype? So this function prototype can be declared before the main function. Okay, so in the function prototype, we have return type. Okay, what is return type? So return type can be void, integer, float. Okay, So void, it doesn't return any value, and when you are using some integer or floating, it returns some value. So return type, after that you are specifying the function name. Okay, maybe you are using the addition function or display function. After that you are specifying the number of parameters. Okay, so this is how we can declare a function prototype, where it has return type, your function name, and then in brackets we have parameters. So this is an example. We are specifying void, display, and then char. So this is the function prototype. This is how we declare a function prototype before the main function. So after that, the next component is function definition. So what is function definition? So suppose you are calling a function, okay, and then in the function definition we should have some set of statements or the group of statements to perform a particular task, right? So here we have return type, and then function name, and then parameters. Then after opening curly braces we have function body. Okay, so here, so maybe you have called the display function. Okay, so when you are writing a display function, you can use void display, and then you can pass the parameters, and then you can return the value. Okay, so here we are writing the group of statements to display or to perform a particular task. Maybe it is an addition function, and you are here you are taking some taking two values or reading two values from the keyboard, and then you are performing the addition of two numbers, and you are displaying the result here. So this is what function definition or function body. And then next we have the third component is function call. Okay, so function call is what? You are calling a function. So calling function, directly you can specify the function name, and then directly open and closing bracket. Okay, and if you have any parameter you can pass it, or if there are no parameters you can just give there is nothing, void. You can specify the void. Here for example, display of A. So this is nothing but your function call. You are calling a function. So display of A. So this is a function call. This will call to the function definition. Then function definition will be executed here. Okay. So this is an calling function. This is an called function. So these are the three components of a function. We'll discuss one example. Let's take one example. Okay, so this is an example program. So here void sum is what? Your function prototype. Okay, you are declaring an function prototype. So this is what your return type, and this is your function name. Okay, and there are no parameters are specified. Okay. Then next, this is called as a function prototype, and then this is an what? Function. You are declaring a function. Okay, so this is nothing but function definition. Okay, you are defining a function here. So when you are defining a function, what is the syntax you are following? Return type, function name, and then parameters. Then you are specifying the function body, right? So here we are writing the return type, that is void. Then you are specifying the function name. Then you are writing the function body. So for a sum to perform two numbers or addition of two numbers, we are using C equal to A plus B. Okay, so this is a task of addition of two numbers. Then you are printing the statement C out sum C. Okay, sum will print here, and then value C, whatever the value that has been assigned. Maybe you have assigned here, globally you have assigned int a equal to 10 and b equal to 20. Okay, so int a equal to 10 and b equal to 20 has been assigned. So here it will perform 10 plus 20, so c value will be printed. So what is c value? Sum equal to 30. Okay, so this is the output you will get when you execute this program. So in the main function, so first task is what? Every C program or C++ program starts with the main function. So when you when main function executes, in that we have written what is sum here. Sum is what? Your function call. Okay, so this is an calling function, or you can call it as a function call. So once you call this sum function, so it will invoke this void sum function. Okay, so this is an calling function, this is an function definition. So in this function definition, it will execute this statement c equal to a plus b, c out sum c, and it will produce this sum equal to 30 as an output, and this will read the values which has been already declared a and b as global variable, that is a equal to 10 and b equal to 20. So this is an example program of how to declare the function prototype and how to define the function call and how to define the function definition. Next we have passing arguments to function. Okay, we can pass, there are two ways of passing arguments to function, call by value and call by reference. So what is call by values? Values are passed as function argument. Okay, so whenever you are calling a function, so we have calling function, called function, right? So in a calling function, we are passing the actual values. Actual values are passed as function argument. So that is what we call it as a pass by value or call by value. So here we are passing the actual values of an variable, or we are passing the actual value of an argument. Okay, so these actual values are passed to the function. So and any changes that are made not reflected back to the calling function. So here you are passing the actual values to the function. Okay, so in the function, so it makes some changes. Okay, it makes some changes, and whenever it comes back to that function call. Okay, so in that case, any changes that are made are not reflected to this calling function. It means that I call that function. Okay, so I have written one function call and I am calling that function, and there are some changes are made. Okay, after those changes, when it comes back to the calling function, these changes are not reflected. So that is what one disadvantage of using call by value. Okay, and then next, comparing by call by reference. So in call by value, what happens? We are passing the actual values to the function as an argument. So here in call by reference, we are passing the addresses of the variable as argument. So here instead of passing the actual values of an variable, here we are passing the addresses of the variable as argument. Okay, and any changes that are made are reflected to calling function. It means that, so when I call a function, okay, and I make some changes, when I define a function, I wrote some set of statements, and I have made some changes to the values. Okay, these values are reflected to the calling function. So that is what one advantage of using call by reference. And in call by reference, here we are passing the addresses of the variable. But in call by value, we are passing the actual values of an variable. So this is what the difference between call by value and call by reference. Here we are passing values, here we are passing the references, and whatever the changes that has been made in the call by value are not reflected to the calling function, but in call by reference, whatever the changes that has been made will be reflected to the calling function. We'll see one example of call by value and call by reference. Okay, so this is an example program of call by value. So we discussed about call by value and call by reference. So in call by value, what happens? We are passing the actual values as an argument to the function. Okay, and whatever the changes that has been made, okay, because we are calling a function, and in the function definition we are making some changes, right? After that, whatever the changes that has been made, that will not be reflected to the calling function. That is what the objective of call by value. And this is an example program of call by value. In call by value, starting with the main function. So in the main function, we have declared two variables, int a equal to 7, b equal to 4. A is assigned with 7 and b is assigned with 4. And then we have cout, the original value. Okay, what it will print? Original value. So the a is assigned with 7 and b is 4. So it will print a as 7